Hey everybody, my name is Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv. What you're about to see here is a short clip of a much longer episode. It can be found on Untethered.tv. So if you really are interested in this, go to Untethered.tv, do a search for this title, and you'll find it there. But enjoy this short clip. Hello everybody and welcome to Untethered.tv. I'm your host and founder, Rob Woodbridge. This is the show you come to understand what is going on in the mobile space and how to apply it to your business. That doesn't mean steal it. It means take some ideas and move them into your business. Try to understand what other people are doing in the space. Today, really special guest all the way from London. I got Dan Foreman, who's the director at Lumi Mobile and also the president-elect of ESOMAR. We're going to find out what both of those companies do. But I got to tell you, this is a very interesting topic. If you're a data geek and you're trying to understand how to bring data, actually surveys, start doing surveys through mobile and the impact of certain things of surveys in mobile, the impact that mobile's had on surveys, things around privacy, ethical standards, best practices. We're going to take a look into the future of what this means and how mobile is impacted and will continue to impact the data collection business. So joining me all the way from London, Dan Foreman, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
It's a pleasure, Rob.
So, before we really dive into the meat of this, I gotta ask a few questions. First of all, you are a director for Lumi Mobile, so I'd like to understand what Lumi does, as well as the fact of, a president-elect, and maybe by the time people are watching this, you actually are standing there, president, sworn in as president. So I really understand what these two organizations are. So start with Lumi, if you don't mind.
Sure. So Lumi's a mobile technology business. And it has a background of working in the broadcast entertainment world, and over the last couple of years been very focused on market research. So market research as an industry is facing all sorts of different challenges, and one of them is the number of mobiles that we have all around us now, and these are both a part of our world, and therefore as market researchers you have to ensure that you're using them as a touch point, but also they are now a primary data collection device. So that's surveys, that's also what people are doing on their phones. There's a whole load of different information that's available there for us. Lumi is into that space, and also therefore gaining some good traction in the market research world. ESOMAR, very separate. ESOMAR was founded in 1948, post Second World War body. It's a World Association of Market Research, so it's one of the organizations that speaks with an authoritative voice to governments, to high-level organizations about standards, about ethics, about lobbying what the market research world thinks about privacy, data protection, and so on. And it's a membership organization, and recently, very nice of you to mention it, recently I was elected as president, and I officially begin that term in January.
All right, so how long have you been working with Lumi? It's been a short time, hasn't it been? Since this year, 2012, right?
That's right, yeah. So I first happened upon Lumi about 9 months ago, and then probably 3 or 4 months ago, I started working with them. So in that space was a period of time where I was evaluating using them as a supplier to me, and from that came the opportunity to get involved. And I've personally been involved in a lot of different high growth businesses. Probably over the last 10 years or so, I've tended to work in emerging markets and emerging technologies. So when I saw the Lumi capabilities, I was pretty much blown away and excited to get involved. And because I got a lot of experience in that high growth space, it means that I have experience of growing with it and also helping others grow. So I was naturally very keen to get involved, because I can see the role that mobile's having within the market research world, as can many others, and that's why we have specific events like the mobile research in market research and the mobile world events.
I'd like to spend a minute here talking about where this industry is going. So, kind of projecting a little bit out into the future. We've covered quite a few scenarios, but in your estimation, I mean, is this something that, is this a blip? Is this just another? Is your industry just absorbing mobile and then moving on like it did? It embraced the web technologies, or are you seeing that over the last 10 years with web and now with mobile, a significant shift in this industry, and companies had better change in order to be able to adapt to the new way of data collection, consumption, and then dissemination and analysis?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly been some big change. There's been some big change with the whole online world, and there's big changes coming for sure in mobile. And that's because there's some big structural, yeah, fundamental changes in how mobiles, embracing the real world, outside of market research. There's, global smartphones sales have overtaken PC sales. 22% of the world's smartphones are in China. There's more phone subscriptions in the world than there are people. You take Korea, 71% of their population do their shopping online, and a huge chunk of that through your mobile capabilities. eBay is transacting $20 billion, I think, this year. So far on their mobile phones. So there's lots of kind of structural macro things going on. Now, for research, that means that what we were doing last year and the year before is fundamentally different. The playing field, the landscape is different. So businesses have to adapt in order to get there. Now, I've already seen tons of companies who are adapting very well for it. Now they're adapting in different ways. Some of them are integrating mobile as part of their standard solutions. Others are making a very big splash on mobile. New mobile companies are coming up. Some aren't embracing it and making a virtue of the fact that they operate in traditional ways, which personally I think is a dangerous game to play given the speed of shift. And others are making investments in this space. So structurally, the world is changing, and therefore structurally, the market research world is changing very significantly. Now, I think we've only seen the first moves in this space. I imagine that by 2020 there will be some very fundamental shifts in who the big players are in the market research world. I think 2 or 3 of the big players will still be in the top 10, but maybe the top 1 and 2 aren't even in the top 10 at the moment. They're around, but they're just not explicitly recognized as market research companies. So I think we've got big change coming there. And for a lot of people who are currently playing in the mobile research space, brilliant if we've managed to capture that early move advantage, and I hope we have. But I also fear that we're all moving at a certain pace, and then we get this big juggernaut who's just caught up speed and is just going to overtake us, and we're going to struggle to catch up with them. So we either ride with them, or we try and run alongside them. And there's certainly some big challenges coming for us all.
And it's almost like, because you think that happens because you're caught in a legacy, and it's hard to shift and drop your baggage.
Yeah, I think there's some big legacy challenges with the market research world. There's techniques. To some extent, it's that when a lot of the big market research companies who exist today came about, that was because there was a fundamental need for good quality data, and there continues to be. But that good quality data now is captured a bit more efficiently. There's more processing attached to it, and to some extent now a lot of that's established. So there are new frontiers that are opening up, and because some of those big models have been built to service a certain type of question, and at a certain price point, and they've hired the kind of people to support that, and now suddenly we've moved the goalposts. I think everyone can recognise that we need to shift from here to here, but that shifting process, it is a little bit like steering a tanker, and maybe steering a tanker is easier because we're talking about tens of thousands of people who have been taught to think in a certain way, and now they're being asked to think differently, and that's from new recruits up to the established guard, and that's a real challenge. So it's structural in terms of process, people, and techniques, but then also there is the client argument to it too. It's the buyers of market research that as they're embracing the new opportunities which are being driven through the organization or through the marketing commercial functions, they're having to adapt too, and that's it's personnel adaptation, it's procedure adaptation, and supplier sourcing. So a lot of things that are going on there, and unfortunately, the kind of the macro changes are happening so quickly that in an industry, we always feel like we're trying to catch up. And some people for sure are in a good scalable place to ride that wave, but there's a lot of people who I fear, and I'm sad about it, will be casualties.